When we were kids, cartoons felt safe. Bright colors, catchy songs, clear heroes, clear villains. Everything always worked out by the end. But every once in a while, a scene slipped through that didn't feel like it was meant for kids at all. Not scary, just heavy. Real in a way you couldn't explain back then, but never forgot. Looking back now, those moments hit differently. Because they weren't accidents. They were emotional lines crossed right in front of us. Today, we're talking about the times cartoons went further than we expected, and why they still stay with us. If that idea already rings a bell, you'll want to stay for this one. Elsa from Frozen is often remembered for ice powers, big musical numbers, and a character finally embracing who she is. But that's not where her story starts. Her story starts with fear. Not the dramatic kind. Not the villain kind. The quiet, internal kind that settles in early and never really leaves.
Who cares about danger when there's love?
Elsa's defining message as a child isn't be careful. It isn't learn control. It's conceal, don't feel.
Oh, hell no!
That line goes by quickly. It's sung gently. It sounds responsible, almost loving. But sit with it for a second. Don't feel. Do not manage your emotions. Not understand them. Not express them safely. Just don't feel them at all.
What are you so afraid of? I said enough!
Sorcery. I knew there was something dubious going on here.
For a movie aimed at children, that is an incredibly heavy instruction. Elsa grows up believing that her emotions are dangerous. That joy leads to loss of control. That fear must be hidden. That excitement is risky. That vulnerability equals harm. So she does what many people learn to do in real life. She shuts down. She isolates. She stays composed. She learns how to perform calm instead of experiencing it. And the movie presents this as responsible behavior.
Stop her!
Please, just stay away from me. Stay away!
Elsa isn't punished because she's cruel or selfish. She's punished because she feels too much. What makes this cross a line isn't that it's dark, it's that it's accurate. Many adults watching Frozen for the first time with children had a strange reaction. Not fear, not sadness, recognition. Because emotional suppression isn't fantasy. It's familiar. The gloves Elsa wears aren't just for ice. They're emotional armor, physical reminders to keep everything contained, and when they finally come off, it's not framed as simple freedom. It's framed as danger first. Her release doesn't feel safe, it feels explosive. That's the part that hits differently as an adult.
Elsa! You can't run from this!
The movie unintentionally mirrors what happens when emotions are bottled up too long. They don't disappear, they build pressure. And when they surface, they overwhelm everyone, including the person holding them back. Elsa's fear of hurting others becomes a self-fulfilling loop. She hides, so she never learns regulation. She never learns regulation, so she hides more. And the most unsettling part is that the movie doesn't give her a villain to blame. No evil spell, no external curse, just an internal rule she learned too early and too well. Frozen crossed a line not because it scared kids, but because it introduced emotional suppression as a survival strategy, without fully unpacking how costly that strategy is. As adults, that hits close to home. Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles isn't introduced as broken. He's introduced as past his prime, and that alone is a strange choice for a children's movie. Mr. Incredible begins his story after the glory days are over. The applause is gone. The city doesn't need him anymore. His identity, the thing that gave him purpose, has been bureaucratically erased.
You tripping, bro? You tripping?
So what's left? A man in a cubicle. A body that doesn't fit the chair. a mind stuck in memories of relevance. This isn't villain origin territory. This is midlife crisis territory. And the movie doesn't soften it. Mr. Incredible is frustrated. He's bored. He's angry in a quiet, simmering way. He's not misunderstood by his family. They love him. He's not evil. He wants to help. He's just trapped in a life that feels smaller than the one he was built for.
Did what our wives think we're doing, just to shake things
What
up.
makes this go too far for a kid's movie isn't the action or the danger. It's the emotional realism. Mr. Incredible sneaks out not because he wants chaos, but because he misses meaning. He wants to feel useful again. He wants his strength to matter. He wants to stop pretending that filing paperwork satisfies him. That longing isn't exaggerated, it's restrained, which is why it's uncomfortable.
Don't take Devin!
Great! We missed it!
You asked me how to get there, and I told you. Exit attraction.
That'll take me downtown!
He's coming up. Get in the right lane. Take
We don't exit
You're
attraction!
gonna miss it!
Adults watching this don't see a superhero misbehaving. They see burnout. They see someone whose skills no longer align with their environment. Someone forced into a role that ignores what they're good at. Someone praised for adjusting while quietly suffocating. And then the movie takes it further. When Mr. Incredible finally gets a mission again, he lights up. His posture changes. His energy returns. He feels alive. But that aliveness comes at a cost. He lies. He distances himself. He risks everything because relevance feels better than safety. That's a hard truth to slip into a children's film.
Bulldoze! Yeah!
Bob!
The Incredibles doesn't frame burnout as sadness. It frames it as restlessness, as quiet resentment, as a slow erosion of identity, and it asks a question most kids can't answer yet. What happens when who you are and what the world allows you to be no longer match? That's not a superhero problem. That's an adult one. And the fact that it's played straight without jokes undercutting it is exactly why it sticks. Scar from The Lion King is often remembered as dramatic, theatrical, even sarcastic. He sings, he smirks, he delivers lines that feel almost playful. But beneath that presentation is one of the most direct and emotionally heavy moments ever placed inside a children's animated film.
Must have slipped my mind.
Scar doesn't slowly ease the audience into darkness the way many animated villains do. There is no gradual moral descent, no softening of the blow, and no emotional buffer to protect the viewer. When the moment comes, it arrives cleanly and decisively. Scar causes Mufasa's death on screen, in full view, without implication or distraction, and the film does not look away. The camera stays. The moment lands. The weight is allowed to settle.
You are such a naughty boy.
What truly pushes this scene beyond the expected limits of a children's movie isn't only the act itself, but what Scar does immediately afterward. Instead of roaring in triumph or celebrating his victory, he shifts into something colder and far more disturbing. He turns to Simba and calmly convinces him that the death he just witnessed is his fault. This isn't chaos or rage, it's psychological precision. Scar understands exactly where to aim, and he chooses guilt. That choice is what makes the scene feel so heavy when viewed as an adult. The Lion King doesn't rush past the emotional fallout or soften it with humor. It allows silence to dominate the screen. Simba's confusion, fear, and disbelief are not exaggerated or dramatized for effect. They're quiet, hesitant, and deeply uncomfortable, which makes them feel real. The film trusts the moment enough to let it sit without explanation or comfort. For a children's movie, this is remarkably bold. The story places the emotional burden not just on a child character, but on the child watching as well. Simba doesn't simply lose his father. He loses his sense of safety, his understanding of the world, and his belief that adults will protect him. And instead of immediately restoring balance, the story pushes him into exile, carrying grief and shame he does not fully understand. As adults, it becomes clear how far The Lion King was willing to go emotionally. It doesn't turn death into a symbolic lesson wrapped in music or reassurance. It doesn't soften grief or resolve it quickly. It shows loss as something that fractures identity and reshapes the future. That's not an easy idea, especially for young viewers, but the film presents it anyway.
Where is your hunting party? They're not doing their job.
Scar, there is no food. The herds have moved on.
No, you're just not looking hard enough.
It's over.
Scar's power doesn't come from physical strength or loud dominance. It comes from patience, manipulation, and a complete lack of moral hesitation. He dismantles the kingdom not by force alone, but by removing its emotional foundation and allowing everything else to decay slowly. This isn't exaggerated cartoon logic. It's disturbingly close to how harm often works in the real world. Once you notice that, Scar stops feeling like a villain created for children and starts feeling uncomfortably adult. Not because he's flashy or cruel for spectacle, but because he understands exactly how to break something quietly and permanently. And he does it without flinching. Elsa, Mr. Incredible, Scar, 3 different movies, 3 different tones, 1 shared trait. They didn't talk down to the audience. They introduced emotional realities before most viewers were ready to name them. Suppression, burnout, loss. Not as lessons, not as warnings, just as part of the story. And that's why they stayed. These scenes didn't traumatize us. They prepared quietly, imperfectly, unintentionally for emotions we would later recognize in ourselves. That's why revisiting them feels strange. Not because they're darker than we remembered, but because now we finally understand what they were really showing us. If these moments feel different to you now, that's not because the movies changed. It's because you did. This channel exists to look back at familiar stories with clearer eyes and notice the emotional lines they crossed when no one was really watching. And every Friday, we explore another moment that seemed harmless at the time but carried more weight than anyone admitted. So here's the question worth sitting with. Which cartoon moment crossed the line for you? And why do you still remember it?